Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening. On the programme tonight, Nathan Patterson. Will hear him speak for the first time in quite a long time. The Everton defender talking about his future, talking about his ambitions for Scotland and how he's loving life under Stevie Clark. And Tommy Conway back among the goals. He will be speaking to us tonight. And maybe you on 0808 17 17 700. International Week. Charlie Mulgrew is here, as is Mark Guidi. Evening, chaps.
Hi Paul, how are you?
Hi Paul.
Good. 48 hours away, Charlie, from the match. It's always... It's a bit of a gear change, isn't it? Because everyone's talking about, is it going to be Hearts? Is it going to be Rangers? Is it going to be Celtic? And as Glasgow Station, so many people come on here, they want it to be Rangers or Celtic, but Hearts are still in there. We spoke about it the other night. We now turn to Scottish international duty. You're the only one here with the Scotland cap, 44 of them. What did it mean for you to play for your country?
It was a pleasure, Paul. He listened to that national anthem. First of all, get the call up, and every single time I got a call up the 44 times, I never once took it for granted. And that might sound a bit cliche, but it was true. It was genuinely true. I used to wait for the phone call and get called up, and you were delighted to turn up with a great bunch of lads, a great squad. Every one of them were like good boys. We could have a laugh, and I loved being away with them. Sit and get coffees after training, train hard, train properly. Good training under Gordon Strachan and Alex McLeish and Steve Clark and Craig Levine also was the floor manager I worked under, and it was brilliant. I loved it. And then you come to the games, you hear the national anthem, the build up to the games, you hear the national anthem, and the hairs in the back of your neck stand up. You get family and friends at the game, and Hampden with a good atmosphere was amazing. I absolutely loved it. These players will be. My son was in the town earlier for a coffee. I actually seen a couple of them wandering about for a coffee, and it reminded me of when I used to go there.
Who did he see?
He's seen McTominay and he's seen Hanley and John Suter as well. So yeah, because they just want. I think there's a nice coffee
no
shop.
Big names, no.
Just in there.
That's amazing. How did he feel when you see those superstars?
No,
I mean, Scott McTominay.
He was buzzing.
Wow.
And he's seen a few boys his age as well that play with the 19 squad. So he was talking to them, and then he would have loved to. I spoke to some of the first team boys, because obviously he's heroes. He grows up watching them and seeing them play. So
did he not go up and say,
no,
my dad's Charlie Mulgrew, 44 taps?
Jeez, oh man, I'm cringing at the thought of that. He would never do that. No chance.
Do you think they'd speak to him, or would they go, what? Why'd you tell people that?
Charlie who? Nicholas?
Steady. Yeah. It's brilliant that to see them in town though, isn't it? Mark, you've been in among them today. The media, of course, around. Hopefully you hear from Stevie Clark tomorrow.
Yeah, a coffee with John McGinn this afternoon with John, so he's in great form.
Related to the Scotland player? Was it John himself?
Yes, it was John with a wee coffee.
Brilliant.
James McFadden joined us. So
a
couple of Scotland legends. They're speaking away about the World Cup. You know, James asking John about how he's feeling. John asking James about his memory. So it was nice. It was nice and relaxing. You're talking about the top three, Paul, the title race, and you're looking at the Scotland squad. Obviously, Derek McInnes had made his feelings known, but no Hearts players. So no Hearts players, and out of the squad, only 4 Celtic and Rangers players in the entire squad: Anthony Ralston, John Suter, Kieran Tierney, and Liam Kelly. No Hearts. So you think our top 3 clubs at the moment, and only 4 players. But then you look at the quality they've got in the squad, and it's hard to see where any others get in. 3 or 4 places probably up for grabs for the entire squad. But this is it. If you're kind of one of those ones that's 50-50, you've got Saturday night, you've then got Tuesday, and that's it. The squad will be picked in. You're away to America, and you've got 2 friendly games.
Was it as soon as that?
Haiti,
Right.
So, so this is it. They've got 2 games. I think Steve Clark will be settled in pretty much about 20 positions. Paul, he'll have about 20 players that knows where to go, and there's 3 or 4 up for grabs. So, I know they're only friendlies, but Hampden will be buzzing on Saturday night against Japan, Daisen Maeda and all that with Japan, and then down at the Hill Dickinson Stadium at Everton on Tuesday night, another tough game against the Ivory Coast.
Mark, you're saying the Hearts players there, right? So I'm just interested to hear, is there any Hearts players you would have had in your squad?
Well, I think obviously he came back at the weekend. Lon Shankland for me would have been in the Scotland squad, but it's understandable why he's not in it. But I'd be very surprised if Lon Shankland is not in the World Cup squad. I think he should be there. I think he's the best. We talk about number 9s between Celtic, Rangers and Hearts. Charlie potentially deciding the outcome of the destination of the league title. Lawrence Shankland's the best number 9 in the country. So he's going to have a big part to play for Hearts. So he could be going to the World Cup on cloud 9 in terms of being a title winning skipper. Going to the World Cup, which Steve Clark would be delighted about. So who else has been mentioned? You've got Stuart Finlay who's injured. You've got Craig Halkett as well, who's been really solid.
He's the one. Sorry,
Harry Milne as well.
Harry Milne's been mentioned as well.
Do you not feel for Craig Halkett?
I feel for Craig Halkett a wee bit. I think that I think, and if I had to replace one player, it would be Dom Hyam.
Right.
Now, I think Dom's a good player. I've seen him play for Blackburn. He's a good centre half. But I think that for what Halkett's done for Hearts, I know he picked a wee bit injury last game. Yeah. I think for Hearts being top of the league, he's been a huge part in that. The amount of clean sheets they've kept this year. I know Steve Clark's come out and said that a lot of the Hearts players are riding the crest of a wave in a good team, but they're playing their part, and I think Craig Halkett could have definitely added to the squad, but he needs to keep plugging away, because you never know what can happen this summer.
Mark, Craig Halkett.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the one position in terms of a central defender, Paul, that Steve Clark's pretty set on, because look, Grant Hanley doesn't play every week for Hibs, but he loves Grant Hanley. He's inverted commas one of Steve's boys, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Jack Henry's in the squad all the time. Scott McKenna's in the squad all the time. John Souttar's in the squad all the time. So I don't see where. And Dom Hyam's the one that's come in. So maybe Steve Clark's going Dom Hyam, who he's had in a few squads, or Craig Halkett. I think that's so. That, it might be, but if people think, Grant Hanley's going to the World Cup as long as he's not injured. He's going to the World Cup because he's one of the good pros and one of the solid guys that Steve Clark relies on.
I think when I was at Wolves, I always remember Mick McCarthy came into the treatment room one day and he was explaining how he managed Ireland. I don't know how the conversation came up, but anyway, he goes in, so you're listening in to see, and I always never forget, he said he treated it like a club side. So he didn't matter what you'd done with your club within reason. He picked what you did for him. Right. Yeah. And I thought that was always interesting. I was always really interested in that, because a lot of us will talk about form, especially down south. I saw, but they're always continuously changing the squad because it's who's in form, who's not, who's in, because they've got so many to choose from. I think there needs to be a certain element of that, because you need to have trust in players, and players play better under certain managers sometimes. So you're right with the Grant Hanley one. If he's got that trust for Steve Clark, and it's one that people might question because he's not top of the league with Hearts, and maybe Halkett could be in place him. You need to understand the relationship they have. Steve Clark understands what he's getting for Grant Hanley, and you can understand that. But the Dom Hyam one's the one where I think, could that have been Halkett's chance to get in?
What could a centre half is Dom Hyam, Charlie?
He's quite similar actually to Halkett. He defends his box quite well. Decent pace over 5-10 yards. No rapid, similar to Hanley. Quite sharp over 5-10 yards, and pretty simple on the ball. Good footballer. Now I think Halkett's a better footballer in possession than Hanley, but Steve Clark is not a type of manager that goes, right, let's play for the back. Let's work our way through the thirds. Steve Clark wants you to defend first and foremost, and maybe that's the reason why Hyams, maybe he sees him as a slightly better defender than Halkett.
And Harry Milne, what did you feel?
Harry Milne, I can understand that one, because he's not going to play ahead of Kieran Tierney or Andy Robertson. And Scotland have been playing a back four recently. They two are the left backs. I mean, he's got a tough enough decision to decide between them. I don't know where Harry Milne even comes in. I know he's played right mid for Hearts this year, but he's not going to play right mid for Scotland. Scotland it's just a different quality and different type of game. So I don't know. I can understand why he's not in the squad.
Sure. And it's 86 days to go. And Mark, they haven't been together since November. So it's not as if there was a camp in January. So I get that, because I thought with the Grant Hanley, nothing against him, he's on the plane. But to give somebody else a chance, but it's maybe now too close to the tournament. And also, they haven't been together for a while, so they need to train together and play a couple of the games. What do you think at home? 08, 08, 17, 17, 700, Mark?
Yeah, I can't see, if you want to call it like a wild card, Paul, I can't see anybody. You look at that squad just now, so one that jumps out right away, there's no Ben Doak in it, because he's finding his feet back. But if Ben Doak gets back to fitness, he'll be in the squad, and rightly so. But it's still an opportunity for Finlay Curtis. We thought we might have had Harvey Barnes. That one's off the table now. He's decided to go with England. But you look through our midfield, and it's, apart from Callum McGregor, it's the same midfield that we had at the Euros. Lennon Miller sort of came into the fold. Andy Irving's got another chance. But you look at the quality, Lewis Ferguson, an absolute machine, quality player. John McGinn, just coming back from a knee operation and sensational form over the past 2 or 3 games.
And he looks as though he's loving it at the moment.
Yeah,
He's seen it today.
He's thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
Kenny McLean, starting to get a few results again as captain under Philippe Clement at Norwich. Scott McTominay speaks for himself. Lennon Miller getting more and more game time at Udinese. Then you look at the strikers. I know we're going to hear from Tommy Conway soon, but I just hope Scotland get a good result. It'll be a full house at Hampden on Saturday. It'll be a tough game against Japan, but Steve Clark will be looking for a good result and a good performance.
The only thing I worry about is recently Steve Clark's been playing with wingers. Now we've only got one winger in Finlay Curtis in that full squad. That's what I worry about. If you're a team that are going to play with wingers, you'd imagine there's going to be 3 or 4 in there because you've got 2 playing and then you've got people backing it up. We're sitting with 1 right now.
Who else could there be? Is it too late for James Forrest?
People are going to think I'm his best mate or something, but like somebody springs to mind is Calvin Miller, probably because he was linked with Celtic. But there's not a lot, Paul, out there. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there's 6 wingers. I'm sitting here with a list saying he should, but he's one that springs to mind. He's a Scottish player that's playing well, had a good season. He's really fit. Just for a bit more attacking intent in the final third. I mean, I know Steve Clark's played with wing backs in the past, but recently Huz went with a back 4, played McGinn narrow on the left or narrow on the right. I suppose Christie can do a wide job, but he's more an inside player as well. I like to see pace on the outsides at times, and I think Doak brings that. Curtis can bring that with a goal threat as well. I just think it's an area in the squad that would potentially benefit us in the World Cup.
We're going to go on the lines. Lots of calls coming in. Club football, the first call. Mark is on the line, a Celtic fan. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Yeah,
All right,
good.
Mark.
How are you?
Not too bad at all, thanks. Phoning tonight about something a wee bit different. I've never really heard it discussed much, but I watched I don't know if you've seen it, but the 3-part documentary on the BBC about the Ultras in Scotland. Any of you seen it?
I haven't seen it, no.
Really good programme, kind of in-depth, shows the good, the bad and the ugly side of it. And like a lot of people, I just see these wee guys in balaclavas and think, Christ, what's this all about? Sort of jumped up Neds. But when you watch it, it shows you it from all different angles. So like they went to, for example, Camelin Juniors, they went to Kilwinning Rangers, we obviously talked about the Green Brigade, the Union Bears, etc., etc., Partick Thistle, and all of them, every single one of them do a lot of outreach work in the community. There's a lot of these young sort of disenfranchised young males predominantly. It's the one outlet that they've got where they can go and express themselves and they're part of something, and who knows, they might come from broken homes, etc. I think we all kind of pour a bit of scorn on these things. We don't really understand it. It's not part of our world. And they do have their issues. We all know about the scenes after the game at Ibrox and obviously the pyro and some violence and all. And listen, no one's condoning any of that, but I do think that we maybe need to have a discussion about them. They can be a force for good. They're quite a strong movement in Scotland. Every club seems to have them. And if it's bringing youngsters to the game, then I think it should be encouraged, obviously with caveats.
Mark's a really good point. I need to watch it. I think we all do, because there are so many young males that are not getting jobs and they've got no prospect of getting jobs just now. This is going to go somewhere. And you heard what Mark said. They do so many good things. Obviously, some of it's wild.
I've never even thought it from that angle, Mark. So fair enough. It's made me want to actually go and watch it and understand these what good they are doing, because we only ever see the negative, really, as in, but not that we only see, but we only get shown it in the media and the news will promote or show you the stuff, like the scenes for Ibrox and stuff, which nobody's condoning and nobody wants to see. But if there is good that they're doing, and I mean, everybody's made mistakes and everybody likes that sense of community a lot of the time. That's why fans go to games. So if that's where they get their sort of their sense of community and that togetherness and going watching games and a bit of purpose, then fair play. And if they're doing good in the community, then we should hear more about it, because instead of shining a bad light on them, we'd like to see the good light. I'd like to see it. I'd like to understand it. And that's a good way to look at it. I suppose I'll have a watch at that.
Mark?
Yeah, funny, that every club's got them now. I've not watched the documentary, Mark. I will get round to it, and it will give us a greater level of understanding. But even I went to East Kilbride, still in Albion on Saturday, Paul. It was sold out. East Kilbride going for the title, League 2. And they had their own wee band of, I don't know if it's right to call them ultras, but a young, teenagers vocally getting behind the
Bringing
team.
the noise.
There's probably about 70 or 80 of them in the corner of the stadium, and getting right behind the team. I think Andy Walker was mentioning the other night as well, maybe off air. Pollock Juniors have got a wee kind of crowd as well. So and if they're bringing something into the community, if it's giving them a focus and they can help do good in whatever kind of ways, and if that's what they're striving to do, keeping on the right side of the law, keeping on the right side of their own football club, then it's absolutely to be encouraged.
I was at the gala at Ferrydean because my son's on loan there. So that should trigger my memory. There was a group of lads there with the speaker and that and singing, and they brought an atmosphere to the game. I think we were at Bonnierig Juniors or something. I think it was Bonnierig, and we watched it, and it was a great atmosphere they brought to the game. It was
Bonnierig Rose.
Bonnierig Rose. I'm sure it was Bonnierig. I'm now beginning to think it was
Sean Connery's old team.
Yeah, that's right. But they bring. Listen, we do have an issue though. 40% of young people, many of them males, they've got no jobs and no prospect, and the politicians are letting them down. We need. I heard them, Hunter and Hockey, talking about it last Sunday, I think, in the business show. Mark, you make a great point. I mean, at times we do say, I know the Green Brigade do some things. They help to feed some disadvantaged people. It may be the same with the Union Bears. I don't know. But you're right. It's very easy just to condemn them. Some of the stuff, of course, they shouldn't do. But what do we think is going to happen, Mark? If we don't create an environment and start to look after people, give them some hope, then we are going to stock up problems for those that are really, they don't see any future.
I think Paul has got to remember as well that football can reach people in a way that government programmes and police and all these other people, they can't reach the youth. Kids are into football. I was at just to give them a wee plug there, you mentioned the bell, but I was at last night, I was at Stirling Albion at a business networking event. So big shout out to the Beano's movement. Fantastic night. But Tony McGinn, who is I believe he's the assistant manager at Stirling Albion, gave a wee presentation. He talked about some of his outreach work when he was with Alloa, and there was a wee guy, for example, who was troublemaker at school, never in, always late for school, disrupted every class he was in, and Alloa got hold of him, got him involved with coming to the football training, sort of gave him life lessons, taught him how to be a better person, gave him some positive male role models. The wee guy is now like a prefect in his school.
Brilliant.
And only football can really do that. And we need to encourage the youth of today to get into football and get into these sort of movements and give them, obviously we don't want any of the violence, any of the pyro, any of that nonsense, but they can go and bang drums and shout and be part of something, and maybe with some positive role models, and it might lead to something positive. But I think we should encourage it rather than just and listen, that was an education for me watching that documentary. I thought they were daft wee boys, but when you watch that, you actually think, oh, wait a minute, there's something more to this, and we need to encourage it.
So it's the BBC iPlayer, I take it then, the Ultras, yeah?
The Ultras, 3-part documentary, highly recommend it. It's looks at it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, doesn't hit and miss the wall, as they say, but it shows you a lot of good, and every club's got them, even as like the guys mentioned, the East Kilbride. I've been at a couple of Clydebank games. Right. They've got them, it's still on the road from me. Stirling Albion have got them, everywhere's got them, and it's youth of today doing something as a collective, positive, and we can't just always look at the bad side that we see in the pitch at Ibrox that day. There's more to it than that. Because
I've said it as well before that at Celtic games, the Green Brigade make it a much better atmosphere on a Saturday afternoon. Sometimes Celtic Park can be quiet, and they definitely bring an atmosphere. So the players love it. I'm sure a lot of the rest of the fans love it because it makes it a better day. And I'm sure it's the same at other stadiums.
Mark, I know you're on talking about that, and it is a great point. We're all going to watch it. What are you thinking about your club? You're a Celtic supporter.
Don't do that to me. That's right. I try to be all positive there.
I know.
Dragging me back in.
Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah.
But I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that we're not winning the league, so I'm now a Jambo. I'm only kidding. But, obviously, I'd rather Hearts win it than Rangers. But I think we've got much work to be doing in the summer. But I just don't have any faith in this board that they'll approach it in the right manner. I think it needs a root and branch review, top to bottom. I think heads need to roll, and we need to. Recruitment has been shocking for I would say for a decade. We've had a few wins along the way. We've pulled out a few nuggets along the way, but by and large, it's been pretty poor. We've always had problem areas. We didn't have a left back for years, I remember. And we've not a striker for years. We've not, we were always deficient in certain areas, and there doesn't seem to be any plan. It seems to be who they know, what contacts have we got, right? Who does he know, right? We'll get him in. There doesn't seem to be any kind of process to it, or data-driven, or whatever you want to call it. But it needs a whole new review, and we're miles off it.
Charlie?
Good luck to the Jambos. I really hope they win the league now.
I agree, Mark, in what you're saying in terms of recruitment and stuff. But if you had to choose a manager, who would be your choice
for next season?
Season,
I think we need to look at the Motherwell manager. Definitely, I think he needs to be in the conversation. I like the ex-Bruges manager. I believe he's out of a club. I can't remember his name.
Nicky Hyde. I think he's back in work in Belgium. I think he's back in work.
Oh, is he? I wasn't. Okay, fair enough. But I'm not sure. I'd certainly welcome the Motherwell manager. And I'm kind of running out of names after that. We've got no chance of getting the boy from Bodo Glimt.
What about Craig Bellamy?
100%, yeah. Or even Robbie Keane, perhaps. But I'd probably take Bellamy over Keane, if I'm being honest.
I'm the same. Something about Keane, I don't know. It's just based on.
I think Keane's going to end up the manager.
Do you think so?
Robbie Keane. I think I think, from what I understand, I think he's ahead of Askew in the queue. But it's funny you mentioned a decade ago, Mark, and where I can't agree with you in terms of the recruitment's not been good enough for a decade. I don't think it's as far back as that. However, you've just made me think, a decade ago, we would be, in March 2016, and at that point, Celtic have got Ronnie Dyler, Charlie would have been there, and Celtic Park, you're playing in front of 30,000 every Saturday. Most of the top tier was closed, fans were disillusioned, and all of a sudden, you lost the semi-final to Rangers under Mark Warburton, and Dermot Desmond decided there and then, I'm taking back control, and he brought in Brendan Rodgers. And for a decade, Celtic have been absolutely. And I know Ronnie Dyler, he's won the league, Charlie, take nothing. But a decade ago, you think where Celtic were, they've dominated. It's slipped again. They need to get it. They need to get it back. But you think, I remember covering the games every Saturday. 30,000 empty seats. Most Saturdays, you're playing Motherwell, you're playing Dundee, you're playing whoever, and then Dermot brought in Brendan.
That's right. That was because Rangers were at the league then, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah,
that's right. They came back. I think they might have came back the following year.
Yeah, Dermot Desmond wasn't having it.
It was because then Rangers signed Joey Barton, and it was the Scott Brown Joey Barton game at Celtic Park.
That's
so
right.
That was right.
Mark, you've made a great couple of points there, especially about the Ultras. We'll watch it. Thank you so much.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
We're going to speak to, we'll hear from Nathan Patterson shortly, and also Tommy Conway, a bit from Stevie Naismith ahead of the big game. The start of the two matches, they are friendly games, but we're now so close to the World Cup. You can almost hear Ali's Tartan Army, can't you? Or what was your favourite one, Mark, Charlie? Favourite World Cup song or Scotland song?
For me, it would have been B.A. Roberts in 1982. I was just one of the great.
It's a penalty.
And John Robertson, who normally takes him, is handing the ball to me.
That's right.
Great line about the great John Robertson.
Yeah.
I just like the classic Caledonia and that type of song. There's not an actual World Cup song that I would say I would particularly love.
Yeah,
love the classics.
You couldn't think of one really, could you?
No.
It's been so long.
No.
Since we were there.
The one that springs to mind is 3 lines on a shirt, but I'm not going to say that.
Euro 96.
Yeah. 0808 17 17 700, a number of calls coming in. I heard Mark saying there just before the break, we're going to hear from those players in a moment or two, but Mark, you said Robbie Keane, and looks to be the favourite at the moment to be manager of Celtic next season.
Yeah, look, I mean, Paul, we can debate this. It's going to be up for debate. Martin O'Neill's the manager just now, interim manager. I think Martin O'Neill's in the driving seat in many respects, as in, I think it would be remiss of Celtic, of Dermot Desmond, not to sit down with him and say, Martin, what's your thoughts on the manager job moving forward? Do you fancy it? Do you not fancy it? Whatever. What's your thoughts on who we should go for if you don't fancy it? Bear in mind, Martin O'Neill's got 35 years experience as a manager. Celtic have got to learn lessons from the Wilfred Nancy thing. Martin O'Neill's the chairman of the LMA down the road, so a lot of contact with managers and coaches and assistant managers down down the road. So you've got a man there who loves Celtic, cares deeply for the club. So tap into him. And if Celtic, look, I know people think just now it's 50-50 at best, I get that, but if Celtic do win the league, you cannot not offer Martin O'Neill the job, and then it's up to him whether he wants to take it or not. Jens Askew will be in the conversation.
Yes.
Robbie Keane is very much in the conversation. Very much in the conversation. And I think, as it stands just now, if it's not to be Martin O'Neill, then I think Robbie Keane is probably the favourite for the Celtic job.
Charlie, what do you think? Obviously, the Irish connection with Dermot Desmond being
that's the first thing that springs to mind. I think it's probably coming for that Irish connection, and maybe I've spoke to him. The Martin, I just don't think Celtic are going to win the league now. I just don't. I think they need to be perfect, absolutely perfect, and then still hope for snookers. I don't see that happening. So I would personally, without knowing loads about it, I'd be looking at Bellamy, the way he speaks and the way he's got Wales playing. He's very sure and confident in his style and how he sees the game. He's played for Celtic, you know what it's like. If there's somebody that can stand up to that challenge, feisty character that knows himself, Craig Bellamy would be there. Jens Bertolascu is somebody that I respect as well, the way he plays football. I don't think there's a team. People say there's teams that have done well in Scotland and finished third, and their managers of maybe not being considered, or maybe Alex McLeish went to Rangers or whatever. Yeah. Maybe they're compared to me. I've never seen a manager outside Celtic and Rangers make a team play the way Motherwell play. Yeah. That short passing style of football is something that's a complete culture change in Scotland, because I've said it on here many a time. I'd like to hear from Stevie, the Motherwell fan. Actually, he's went a bit quiet. Yep. Usually it's just the go-to is just play the ball long. Nothing wrong with long football, but as long as you understand everybody's on the same page. With this Motherwell team, they go short. Their instinct is to go short. Can we play through? Can we be brave? And that tells me the manager's brave, Paul. So he would be probably... I'd be speaking today too. That's my opinion on it.
Talking about Motherwell, the news today is that Callum Slattery has been slapped with a 4-match ban, 2 of them suspended because of the simulation. Remember, he went down in the game with St Mirren and Richard King was sent off. Is it conclusive when you look back at the pictures? So we've looked at it again today. So first of all, and Motherwell are not happy. They're saying, whoa. So many other things happen, but you've not gone for a retrospective. Mark, what's your take on it?
Well, first of all, I can totally understand why Motherwell are not happy. I get that, and they've every right to be raging. However, for me, there's no debate about it. Callum Slattery's at it. You know, for me, you look at the footage, I don't think there's contact. And if you look, if you're sledgehammered with somebody or you get an elbow, you're down right away. There's a delay before he fought. And I've long said it, Paul, this is not exclusive to Callum Slattery. This is about players. We talk about referees and we're always quick to have a go at referees, and rightly so. But when you've got players like that making the job more difficult, the players are an absolute disgrace. And I'm all for bans for this. And I've long said it, for simulation like that, for trying to cheat a fellow pro. I've said as well, our PFA, I've long said this to Fraser Wishart, be trailblazers. Get your players together and say, you know what, we're not going to corner each other. We're going to try and win the game, but we're going to try and do it properly. And I get you want to gain the advantage. I get that, and Charlie know better than me. I get that. But in that instance, I think that's got to be hammered out of the game. And if players now know that we're going to get 4 games for that, by goodness, it'll soon stop. So I get why Motherwell are angry, because you can always say this is like a test case that they've gone for, and say, well, why us? Yeah. I get that. But moving forward, at the start of the season, or what they call them, the clubs, I would give at least a 4-game ban for that kind of thing.
And what happened when you said to Fraser about it and the PFA in Scotland, come on, you're all in the same business.
And I used to say it to him publicly on Radio Clay. I would say it. They've thought, be trailblazers. Go and get your PFA to it. It's not just about having a dinner at the end of the season. You actually go and do something together when you've got your 12 captains from the top flight clubs. Actually, you know what? We're going to set an example here. At least try and set an example. PFA can't control how players behave on a Saturday afternoon, but they can set out an example and try and say, you know what? We're going to put it into the minds of our members. You know.
And do you think the will wasn't there? He didn't think of the PFA.
Well, listen, it's not happened. Yeah, it's not happened. So go and, but try it.
Charlie, player's point of view, what do you feel?
I feel that it's really hard to see if there was any contact. It was really slight contact. Was not enough for Slattery to go down.
Gust of wind.
Exactly. So there was not any. And he initiated the contact because he grabbed. Was it King for King for St Mirren back? So he initiated it. Then goes down. He gets what he deserves in that situation. I agree with Mark. If we want to stop that, you would argue at the time the referee should be seeing it on VAR and then sending him off. I think any dive, if you want to get action and change something, then just send somebody off. Because I'm telling you now, the next time I go in a football park, the manager's saying to me in the changing room, nobody diving. Remember, nobody diving. You won't play in this team because you're letting your whole teammates down.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I dived in my career. I had dives. I'm not saying I didn't ever dive, but I went down because I knew that's how to buy a free kick. Or like we seen the Braga one a few weeks ago at Kilmarnock, where he stays in his feet, but he's not rewarded for staying in his feet.
No.
He could have went down and he would have got the penalty.
Yeah.
So start rewarding people for staying in their feet. If you get kicked and you stay in your feet, no, you're still getting the foul.
It's not the fact you go down should be the penalty. It's the fact it's the tackle,
fact
the illegal tackle.
Because it still knocks you off guard to then get to the ball. So it should still be given.
The analogy I give you that's a brilliant incident to highlight is if you're punched, right, but you don't go down, you don't hit the deck, you're still getting a red card for punching, for making contact. Just because you don't hit the deck doesn't it? So it's the same with a penalty kick with that kind of contact. Just because you've stayed in your feet, it doesn't take away from the fact that there's been contact, the defender's got nowhere near the ball, but you've just managed to stay in your feet, but it's still a penalty kick.
100%. I would be giving that, and I would be sending people off as soon as they dive. And then, honestly, it would be done so quickly.
Yeah.
Like Mark said, within a couple of months, people go, right, manager will be reminding you, you'd be stepping on the pitch, and when you're in that scenario and you heat in the moment, you'd be going, no, stay in your feet here. Don't dive unless you... And then everything would change instantly.
Because he's let his fellow players down. He's going to miss the Hearts game.
Yep.
So, again, looking at the title, Motherwell not going to win it.
But again, I agree with Mark. I can understand Motherwell's point of view because there's no consistency, and all of a sudden their player gets a 4-game ban. They're ready to play Hearts next. It has a knock-on effect to Celtic. You can understand why Motherwell are disappointed.
You didn't get banned for it or whatever, retrospective action. We'll look back at the old tapes to see if we can find it.
I've got a couple turn over. I get Lafferty. Lafferty, obviously, situation.
Kyle Lafferty,
And I seen the other day Naismith cut inside. Do you remember at Ibrox?
Stevie Naismith,
and I dangled my leg out and he went down. He get great refereeing, sent him off right away.
Oh, did he?
But it looked, when I seen it back, everybody seen it back. It looked instantly like it was a sending off. Rangers and then the replay shows I've not touched them. So Naismith off. Right decision, well done.
Rangers fans said doesn't look as though you're going to pay the money for Nasser Giga. It's 8 million buyout at Wolves. That's not going to happen, is it, Charlie? 8 million they'd have to pay.
He's done well with Fernandes recently, and they continue to have a good partnership in the last few weeks. But again, 8 million for a centre back or a full back for me. I don't think Rangers or Celtic are in the market for paying that amount for a centre back unless you're guaranteed to get a reward of 20 million, 30 million in the future. And I don't think at this moment Jigger's done enough to prove that that's going to be the case.
Mark, do you agree?
I'd be surprised if Rangers paid 8 million for him. Look, I think he's come on the first half of the season. I wasn't having him at all, Paul. And now you can see that there's something there. Is he an £8 million player? And I'm still not sure. I would say that they'd be better. They've got Fernandes, who's permanent signing, and if he keeps going the way he's going, then there's every chance that Rangers could make a really good profit on him. But Giga and Fernandes are the preferred pairing of Danny Rule. They're doing well at the moment, but I wouldn't pay 8 million for Giga, not at the moment.
The back pages of the papers today are Andrew Kavanagh and the story that we revealed last night because we saw it in the Sun, so they got it early at 6 yesterday evening. Andrew Kavanagh has revealed Rangers are set to raise £16 million from a new share issue, and also season ticket prices are going up by 6.5%. So Rangers showing their intent, more money there. Barry hinted at it earlier, there'll be more money for the manager Danny Rule no matter what happens. He also did say that the hunt for a permanent sporting director has been shelved. It's not going to continue, but the consultant who's in at the moment, former Liverpool man,
Barnaby,
he could continue. It didn't clarify that, but it sounded as though he's happy with the job he's doing. I think the message was he's really happy with life under Danny Rule. 100% confidence in him and the way it's working at the moment. So they're coming out, they're setting their stall out for what they're going to do soon over the summer
They
for next
obviously
season.
feel like Danny Rowe's management, even away from the pitch and in the football side of things, is very good, and that you could probably put a case up for that being right with the signings and that have came in and how Rangers have responded to him at the helm. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, I suppose, and see how it goes.
Oh, do you know, Paul, I like that. Also, we're not privy to the ins and outs, but do you know what? Rangers have said we want a full-time sporting director, director of football, whatever the title is, to replace Kevin Thelwell. That's the way forward for the club. They've then assessed the last 3 months without that in place. If had Stig Ingeborg as a consultant, working in tandem with Danny Rule and whoever else makes up the football department, I thought, actually, do you know what? We don't need to go down that road. So I like the fact that, well, we're willing to change. We've looked at something and know what we don't need it. Now, 6 months from now, say, actually, well, we do, which is fine. It's not a one size fits all. So if they're happy with Barnaby being a consultant, maybe Barnaby doesn't want to get in full time. Maybe he's just happy doing 2 or 3 days a week, whatever it may be. And Danny Rule's happy with that arrangement as well, because you look at the window in January, it's not been a perfect window, but there seemed to be a good mix. There seemed to be good communication from the hierarchy in the football department. A couple of the players look really, really good. So I think, well, do you know what? What we have at the moment, it's not perfect, but it's working. Why change it? Let's just go with what we've got.
Cost of living crisis, everyone finds it tough. 6.5% increase. Now, he has said, I think, to get success, we need to charge a bit more, and some of them are concessions. But 6.5%, inflation's at what, 3? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, of course, with events in the Middle East.
So that would be, at the moment, let's just say your season ticket's £700.
Yes.
So that means it's going to basically up to like £740, roughly, isn't it? So it's got to be, okay, look, I don't think that's a massive jump. I'm not saying it's not, you'd rather keep it at the same price. I get that, but I think all things considered, and I think if you're a Rangers supporter, you're looking at what the hierarchy have been doing and what they're trying to do, and they've really, in terms of what the supporters are putting in, they're spending, Paul. They're not taking it away with them. They're not hoarding it. They're actually spending it back into the team to try and win the league. So I think if you're a Rangers supporter, ideally, it would be a price freeze, but I think that kind of increase, I think that's acceptable.
Charlie?
I think I think it is, and I think it's clever the way they've put it out, that it's going back into the transfer budget. That's more likely fans are want to see that on the pitch, and they'll get, for their extra 40 quid or whatever it is, for talking's sake, they'll get to see it on the pitch, which is worth it. And then if they win the league, then you're obviously much more likely to get fans to do it. So I don't think it's massive, and Rangers fans will probably do that, especially if they win the league.
It's amazing, Paul, as well, timing.
Yeah.
The Rangers put this 10 days ago after they've lost the semi-final to the quarter-final to Celtic, and people are questioning money. Danny Rule's the right man. He did get nothing. They would be getting absolutely lambasted by their own supporters. You fast forward a week, Celtic lose, Rangers win, they're chasing down Hearts for the title. It's amazing a difference a week makes, and I think, you know what, there's a perfect time to get this out just now, and that's when they've done it.
Much more on this and more after the break.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Some great chat tonight, believe it or not, with Charlie Mulgrew, Mark Guidi and me. No, listen, right, like Truth Time, International Week. We love it when it comes, but it's a long runway
I don't know
towards
how
it.
we've got past that 40 minutes. It's been great chat, lad.
Sure,
I
mate.
think part 2, Paul and I are going to do our 1998 World Cup memories for maybe we'll leave that for after the watershed.
Charlie, why are you so good?
Somebody asked me, by the way, asked me to click onto all World Cup clips the other day, just for a wee look.
Right.
Yeah. So, have you ever seen Di Stefano doing a step over?
All right, yeah.
Honest to God, viewers, click in on this.
Okay.
It's like your old drunk uncle just out the boozer.
Alfredo Di Stefano.
Aye. Doing step overs. It's unbelievable. It's like it's a different sport.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Right, let's watch it. Let's look.
Aye. Somebody type that into into TikTok or whatever platform. Di Stefano's step over. You won't believe what you're seeing.
I wouldn't realise that Di Stefano was on TikTok.
I know.
Many followers has he got?
Charlie, right, quick quiz. Who did he ask for his testimonial game? In 1967, there's a clue. Okay?
Celtic.
And mainly because of
Jimmy Johnson.
That was it. Yeah, he wanted the wee redhead. And when I used to go to Spain and things, people would say, "Oh, Glasgow," and we'd talk, and they would say the redhead, wee Jimmy Johnson, in my pidgin Spanish. See, so I nearly give you a bit of Spanish. I see Kevin Bridges is brilliant at Spanish now. Did you see him last week? No. Tumbleweed. Okay.
It was in Palma doing a gig.
Yeah. No, his Spanish is great. So,
CC Senor.
All right. So Di Stefano, what a player he was before our time.
My point is, back then it was a completely different sport, but it's all relevant, and I'm aware of that. But it's quite mad when you look back at that. He's like. Aye, he looks like
he does look.
Your old uncle stepped out the boozer and went down the park with the boys and had a couple of.
I can just see a phone in 25 years from now, and whoever the panellists are saying, "Did you see those videos of that old Celtic player Charlie Mulgrew diving?" See that simulation, that Charlie Mulgrew. It looked like an old drunk uncle.
They said that when I was playing live.
Scotland, we've been threatening to play Tommy Conway and Nathan Patterson.
I'm going to say Tommy Coyne.
Indeed, former Celtic, Motherwell, and of course Ireland. And there are some games tonight. But right, ahead of Saturday, let's hear Tommy Conway saying it's his last chance to impress the manager.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I knew I was going to have to be in this camp to have a real chance at going to the World Cup, and I set myself targets and I set myself goals, and I really did commit to the process ever since November, not getting in that camp and using it as fuel to make sure I got into this one. And I'd done that, and almost that's like the first box ticked, and obviously the next box ticked is to get to the World Cup, and I'm doing everything I can to get there.
Do you think he's going to be in the squad? I know some of it might depend in the squad for the plane to go to
well, I mean, I think that there's a glaring omission in terms of the squad just now at number 9 level, which is Lawrence Shankland.
And he should be fit, obviously, back.
So Shea Adams, I think, is probably Steve Clark's first choice. Lyndon Dykes is also go-to man. And then you've got Shankland, and you've got, I think Conway's, it's probably between Conway and Hurst. I don't know enough about it. Are they similar? But I would say, in terms of number 9s, Adams, Dykes, and Shankland are certainties for me. You know, as long as they're not injured to go to the World Cup, and then there's maybe one more place up for grabs.
I agree. It'll be. I think it'll be determined by what George Hurst and Tommy Conway do during this camp in training and in games, and they'll both be aware of that, I'd imagine, and they'll be given everything to be, as will all the players, to make sure their name's definitely going to be on that list to go on the flight. But Shankland is a definite to get in there.
Here's Tommy Conway speaking about how he saw it and the key reason why Scotland qualified for the World Cup.
I feel like the togetherness I spoke to Robert a few days ago about it, and he said in the past few years the togetherness of the squad has been really special, and I feel like that when you feel like you're playing with your brothers and you're playing with your mates, that's when you enjoy playing football, and you want to fight for each other, you want to do the dirty stuff for each other. And I feel like he said that that's the thing that he's seen change the most. And on the pitch, you can see it in the Denmark game when you go 1-0 up, it goes 1-1, and when you go behind in games, when you go level in games, is finding that little bit of something to get it over the line. And you know, like I said, unfortunately I wasn't here, but when I was watching at home, I definitely had no doubts that we were going to get over the line that day, and I was delighted, over the moon. And like you said, for 28 years for Scotland to be going back to a World Cup, just for the nation itself, it's so special. So to give back to the people from here, and obviously for us players to achieve that, it's really special.
Tommy Conway back in scoring down south, trying to get into the Premier League. What about Nathan Patterson? Such promise at Rangers. Didn't play that many games. James Tavernier and his pomp was keeping him out, but Rangers got 10 million when he went to Everton. He feels good after his injuries. This is him speaking.
No, I feel really good. Obviously, I've came back in and I've played a few games for Everton. I feel really fit. I don't feel as if I'm in a stage where I'm doubting my body at the minute, so I'm happy where I'm at.
How did he handle the injury?
It's just one of these things where you just kind of need to get on with it and make sure when you come back you're ready, and you're going to be coming back in a better place than you were before. And as I said, I feel really good now. Just looking forward to getting on the pitch. Obviously, your family, your close family, just keep you grounded and keep you ready to go. And obviously, the staff at Everton are brilliant. And it's just about having a close circle and keeping everyone on side.
Charlie, you didn't play against him, you just sort of missed each other, but what do you like about Nathan Patterson?
Well, the few games he did play, he looked promising. There was a sort of argument to get him in ahead of Tavernier at the time, which tells you how much an impact as a young player he made. He gets his move to Everton, and it's probably been far too stop-start for him in terms of minutes in the pitch, and then he's had his injury problems as well. But he's no doubt he's an athletic fullback that can get up and help and do his attacking part in the game. He can also decent enough defender, but probably no played enough games, Paul, and needs that exposure at that level to play. With Hickey not being there, Hickey's not in the squad, is he? Injured or whatever. Nathan Parsons, a chance again for him to prove that he should be in the squad and he should play maybe during training and in games. But yep, he'll be hoping to catch Steve Clark's eye and make sure he's on that flight, because you look at the right sort of back area. I mean, who is there? There's Ralston, who's third choice at Celtic at the moment.
That was a blow for him at the weekend, wasn't it? Not coming on. Rio Hatate moved to right back.
He's third choice at the moment, which then Ashley Wise, Colby Donovan not considered. But again, it comes back to Steve Clark's trust in players he's had at major tournaments before in these games, and he obviously got a trust in Ralston, and fair play to Ralston. He's digging in there and he's making a good career for himself. But so Nathan Patterson will be looking to start in that position with Hickey not being in the squad at the moment.
Mark, Nathan Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, it's there for him, Paul, to go and grasp it. I think, just looking through the squad, Charlie mentioned Aaron Hickey, and I think if Aaron Hickey's fit, he'd be the first choice right back, an outstanding player. So you're looking at that squad just now, and I take that's the way they'll shape up for the World Cup. 3 goalies, 23 outfield players, is that right? A squad of 26. Yeah. So I think you've got Hickey, Doak and Shanklin that would normally be in the squad, 3 outfield players. So who's dropping out if Hickey comes, and Hickey will come back in if he's fit? Is it Ross McCrory or is it Anthony Ralston?
I suppose McCrory, I forgot to mention him. Yeah.
One or two of them could drop out. Goalkeeping position, I think if Craig Gordon's fit, he goes back in.
This is good stuff. Can we keep it for just after the news, because we don't want to miss it? News is next, and then we're back. 0808 1717 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Paul Cooney here with Mark Guidi and Charlie Mulgrew. And just before the news, we were talking about the Scotland squad and who would be there for the summer. And actually, Mark was saying just beforehand, obviously Lon Shanklin will be back, Aaron Hickey. And you'd another player as well that would definitely be nailed on, Mark, you would reckon, is Ben Doak, of course.
Yeah. And then, the goalkeeping position, if Craig Gordon can get himself fit, I think it's unlikely he'll play any first team football for Hearts, but I think if he's fit, he would go, so one of the goalkeepers would drop out. But I think questions that Steve Clark will try and answer between Saturday night and Tuesday night, Paul, the two games are, so Aaron Hickey would be a first choice right back. Yeah. If Aaron Hickey for whatever reason can't make it, who am I going with? Is it Nathan Patterson? Is it Anthony Ralston? Is it Ross McCrory? Ben Gannon Doty, like something like that. So Finlay Curtis is in place. So has Finlay Curtis shown me enough to say, he's an able deputy, or am I as well taking another number 9 rather than a Finlay Curtis? Those kind of questions, and the goalkeeping situation. So there's, as I say, I think 23 outfield players will go to the World Cup. I would imagine Steve Clark has settled on 19 or 20 of them. So it might be just 3 or 4 up for grabs. Japan game in Ivory Coast, are a chance for these guys to show Steve Clark that they're worthy of going.
So some of that depends on how they play, Charlie. But so what's your feeling? Should we go to the goalkeepers first?
I think Craig Gordon, if he's fit, he's in, even if he doesn't play much games.
Do you think he will be? I know we don't know. He's seeing a consultant a few days ago. I read something.
I think he'll be doing everything he can be. I think he will be. I think he will. He'll do everything he can. Who knows?
A bionic man, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he'll get there, and he'll be a big plus. I think, and I think if he's fit, he's got to start. For me, I think he's got the mentality, and he trains properly, and he would be ready to be called upon if MD could.
Do you agree with that, Mark? Sorry.
Yeah, I would have if Craig Gordon, passes up, put it this way, gets onto the bench in the remaining 6 weeks of the season for Hearts. I think he goes to World Cup. If he doesn't make the bench, if he's not training full time by, let's say, early May, then I don't think you can take him.
Sorry for jumping in. I had to ask the former Albion Rovers goalkeeper what he thought. He's going to deck me.
Record-breaking season.
I think when you look at it as well, I mean, there's Che Adams, McTominay, McGinn, Gilmore, Ferguson, guaranteed. Andy Robertson.
Yep.
You've got. I think Steve Clark probably knows he's near enough starting 6 or 7 with the odd couple coming in. So it's just about making the fringes of the squad and make, because they've still got a part to play as well, and making sure that's right. And yeah, I think Finlay Curtis is a player that's coming in. He stretch teams in the final third, and hopefully he can show something a bit extra, because we do lack that a wee bit of creativity in the final third. And he's one that can do it. Doak can do it. Yeah, I think Steve Clark's will have a fair idea of what his squad's going to be, and he's just a few changes away from it.
I wonder what the starting 11 will be for the first game against Haiti. Were you scribbling down?
So I've wrote down my starting 11, what I think Steve Clark will do against Japan, right? Well, if Steve Clark could do, if it was a competitive friendly on Saturday, would go for, I think he would go Angus Gunn, I think would be his choice. I think Patterson would be his right back to see if he's ready for the World Cup. Then you've got Hanley, Tierney left centre back, Andy Robertson left back, and then you've got Ferguson, Gilmore, 2 holding midfielders, McTominay 10 behind the striker, McGinn narrow on the left, Finlay Curtis wide right, and Che Adams up top. That would be what I think would be the closest to sort of Steve Clark getting the balance of playing his strongest team and having a look at a couple. Would be Patterson and Finlay on the right hand side to see how they cope.
Mark, what do you think of that?
Yeah,
team?
I mean that's what normally the starting 11 wouldn't be far off that. Again, it's just what Steve Clark wants to do. Paul, in terms of he's not wanting to lose the games clearly, but they are friendly. So does he look at? They want to start Finlay Curtis, or they want to give George Hurst a half and Tommy Conway a half and see who shows up best. I think the one really settled area of the team is midfield. So there's the only one you would see in there, Andy Irving. Does he make the squad? The rest, absolutely 100%. Ryan Christie, Lewis Ferguson, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay, Lennon Miller, all on the plane to America.
I would like to see Lennon Miller start. That's what I would like to see. I think he could have a big part to play in the World Cup, and I'd love to see him get that chance against Japan to prove that to Steve Clark. I don't think he's had loads of chances, and he's been in quite a few squads now, but he's got potential to light up the World Cup for me, Lennon.
I spoke to him last week when he was in Udinese, and he's loving it, Paul. Really get second half of the season, really get into the team. As I think with a lot of the Scottish boys found, even Lewis Ferguson, the boys, they go over there, it takes a wee while to adapt. You're absolutely, football controls your life over there. Even John McGinn told me today,
the diet.
The boys at Napoli, Gilmore and McTominay, still doing double sessions every day under Antonio Conte, even at this time of the season. Yeah, even at this time of the season. Wow. Absolute machines, dedication to their profession. So you look at that, so Lennon Miller's in the team, and what he said, that the lovely thing that he's enjoyed, and as you know, we can see he's a sponge for information, as he's been playing as a 6, one of the 2 6, and sometimes he's been playing as an 8. He says, so I'm learning all the time. It's great not just being pigeonholed as one. He says, so I'm learning about the game. I'm learning about different formations tactically, the awareness he's picked up, the education that he's had over the past 7 or 8 months. And as Charlie says, that can only benefit Scotland. And apart from that, apart from him learning, he's an incredible talent. And if he is given an opportunity, albeit it's a really tough area of the team to get into,
the hardest,
he will not let Scotland down. He's got it in his locker to go and start and do really well for Scotland.
The other thing I worry about with Scotland is sort of possession based. We don't never have a lot of possession, and I think it comes down to positioning and where players are positioned when we have possession. I don't think there's enough players that go in behind the lines, behind the midfield lines, to cause them issues. Lennon would probably be one of them. It could do that. He could also do, like you said, the number 6 in the holding midfield role to find those passes through there. Imagine Gilmore and Lennon Miller, there's the 2 number 6s with McTominay and McGinn higher up. I think we could dominate games in possession with those 4 in there, because the 4 would take up the box. I think it'd be clever enough positions to take up to cause teams, because if a team's get 3 in there, most teams will put 3 in there. If we can put 4 in there somehow, we can then have a spare man to play through teams. And if you dominate the centre of the pitch, it's well known. If you can dominate the centre of the pitch, drag teams in, you can then dominate possession, get it wide and go and create. But yeah, I would like to see Lennon Miller get a run.
Mark's going to tell us now how Japan will line up in their team.
Just the usual formation.
Usual formation.
He's wrote that in Japanese as well.
Exactly,
It's a flat back seven.
Is Nakamura in there? Is he? But obviously, Maeda might be. But I mean, they're going to be tough, aren't they? They're fast. They're.
Oh, aye, they'll be 100
they
mile
don't
an hour.
stop,
If
do they?
Maeda's anything to go
Yeah,
by.
sure.
Yeah, they'll be a tough game, Paul. You know that the Japanese football is in the rise in terms of players playing in about Europe, so they'll be a good side.
Scotland fans, what do you think of that? I like that, the 4 in the midfield.
Yeah, 4 in the midfield. Even if it looks like McGinn's maybe in the left, if he can narrow inside, because what you then get is with the lack of wingers, you get the width for Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson loves to go up that side. So if he provides the width and we get 4 in that midfield area, that gives us a chance to build through the thirds, I think.
I saw on social media today, Liverpool fans, all the stuff about Salah the last few days. You see how many of the goals that he scored, it was Andy Robertson supplying. And they actually said, in praise to Andy Robertson, look at these great times.
Well, Andy Robertson's best stuff's always been in the final third.
Yeah,
He gets up there with Liverpool, he delivers. He's got the energy to go back and do his defensive duty as well. But if we can get Andy up there with somebody else on the other side, like Ben Doak or Curtis or whoever, providing that width, we've got the quality in the centre of the pitch. And nobody's saying we need to build for goalkeeper right out for the back. That doesn't need to be that. It can be, but when the ball drops, can we produce 4 in there and get the width for Andy Robertson? Because he can deliver a ball in the box, and that's what Che Adams and Dykes and Conway and Hurst will be looking for. Shankland when he's in there. So, yeah, I would like to see that.
Tommy Conway, we've mentioned a couple of times, he spoke to the media and he's praised the vice-captain and the man who's on fire back after injury, the Villa captain, John McGinn.
Not just McGinn, there's a lot of lads who bring that personality, but, I feel like you guys know what he's like as a character, and what he brings in itself is so special to the whole group and the staff itself. So, yeah, like I said, you could listen to him all day and you'd be laughing. So to have that in and around the squad, it makes you feel like you're at home, and credit to him for that, because we all love him.
And I think, Mark, Aston Villa and the fans, you see it in the last couple of weeks, they realise what a special captain and player and engine they've got at the heart of that team.
Yeah, I mean, and I think as well, I don't think it's any coincidence that Villa dropped off a wee bit when he was out the team. He's come back in, and he's just given them a new energy, a lovely time of the season, Paul, when things are up for grabs. So for Villa, it's trying to be top 4. They're also in the quarterfinals of the Europa League game against Bologna. So it's Lewis Ferguson against John McGinn. Again, coming up, which is a mouth-watering tie next month. You look at his goal. I mean, I was saying to him today, his goal on Sunday is also a beautiful goal, set piece, Austin McPhee, lovely left peg that he's got. I preferred his goal on Thursday night against Leo. The way just 70 yards he made to get into the box, to get in the end of it from Martinez getting out to the right-hand side to Jadon Sancho. So he's missed football. He's been out with a knee injury, obviously just psychologically getting over that as well, and there's no doubt that he's shown. So he's kind of going to the World Cup. He'll be feeling fresh, Paul. He'd be up for it, and normally he'd be going to the World Cup with 60 club games under his belt. He's maybe only going with 45, 48, which makes a big difference. But there's no doubt, and as Tommy Conway said there as well, which we always highlight, when you're picking a squad, Paul, to go away together for 3 or 4 weeks, it's not just about your ability. It's about what you are like as an individual, as a person, as a professional. And one thing about John McGinn, he's a supremely talented footballer, but he's got a fantastic personality. He's very, very bubbly about the place. And as Charlie knows, Charlie was the same. That counts for a lot as well when you've got all those hours to kill off the park.
It does, Mark. So obviously what he brings on the pitch and then off the pitch, that bubbly character, the things you don't kind of hard to describe is how he integrates the new boys in the squad and how he brings everybody together and makes everybody sort of no cliques. You can clearly see that in the squad. I mean, it was the same at my time. The Scotland squad absolutely loved it. The lads were a great bunch of lads. These lads seem to have took it to another level in terms of they've been to major tournaments, so they've spent that extra time together. You can tell by the amount of caps that the squad have got because they've made it to the tournaments, and credit to them. John McGinn's a massive part of that. He's a captain of Aston Villa, tells you everything you need to know about his character with all the different multicultural nationalities in that squad.
Were you ever in a wee clique with Scotland? Come on, tell the truth.
Never. No, never.
No, it's not the whole mark of Scotland. I know that. Yeah.
No. Well, there's been squads in the past where that's been when I first got in the squad. It felt a wee bit like that.
Did it?
And it wasn't. How how do I describe it? It can be natural sometimes for players just to spend time with their club mates. And at the very start, I felt that's what it was like. And then the longer you're in squads, you realise that, and the longer you spend together, you realise everybody's like good. Well, I stand by this, Paul, right? See, any changing room I was ever in, down south or anywhere, the rule of thumb was the more Scottish lads you had in it, the better the changing room was.
Is that right? Yeah.
So when we all got together as a Scotland squad, I used to have a guy who would come in, and it was like a masseur, sort of musculoskeletal sort of guy, used to treat us in that, right? He was brilliant. But he used to go to the Ireland squad, the Wales squad. I don't know if he went to England. I'm not sure, but I think he might have done one or two England players, but he used to come to our squad and give us treatment. He was brilliant, right? Used to call him Jesus because he would get you back for some injuries a lot. I loved the guy.
Miracles thrown in.
Ronan, he was so good.
Turned you into a player.
Give me a first touch.
You were a great player. You're a great player.
Aye. So he used to come and he would always say that our squad was by far the best laugh and the best banter. And we used to all be sitting in the treatment room. There'd be 15 lads in there having a laugh and getting the banter, and it was amazing. He said Wales and that were good as well, but there was nothing like this squad. He used to probably say that to Wales and Ireland as well when he was in there. Use the best squad, they give your money. You
do that with the kids, don't you? We all do it.
You're the favourite.
You're the best of them. Yeah.
The penny just dropped now. Didn't he actually probably like us, did he? No. So, it is massive that you're spending so much time together, and I can only imagine what a major tournament would be like. That in each other's pocket constantly. Yeah. Sure. McGinn, people at McGinn are vital in that.
We always remember him as well. Remember just before the tournament in Germany, and he's the one that went up in the. Remember the
lederhosen?
Exactly, lederhosen, and that takes a bit. You've got all the cameras there and everything, and he goes up and he does the wee dance with them, and that's difficult, isn't it?
You've just got to do your bit, and if it means you're entertaining, I think he does some good. I always think it was Neil Lennon said if it was John McGinn, he said brilliant at impressions as well. I think he does a Neil Lennon impression, brilliant at impressions, but. On the park, he's enjoying his football. And one thing as well about Andy Robertson and John and McTominay and all those guys, not that they've got anything to be ashamed of, not that they let the country down, I don't mean it that way, but they will want to atone in many ways, Paul, for Germany, for the Euros. Great to get there, but I think they'll felt, with more to give, we should have achieved something more. They've got a perfect opportunity to go and do that.
What would you say is something more, Mark? What would you say would be something more in this World Cup?
I just think, I don't like criticising Steve Clark, and I wouldn't really, to be honest. I don't think he deserves it. He's got us to 3 finals, which is incredible. You tried 3 or 4 campaigns, never got there. Nothing against you, so you know how difficult it is. So for Steve Clark to do it on 3 occasions, my only thing would be, I said it on night, is Hungary, the last game in general, I just wanted to see if there was a wee bit more of a go in the last 20 minutes. I always wondered, why did you not bring on James Forrest? He was in great form the last couple of months of the season for Celtic. Anyway, moving forward beyond that, the opening game against Haiti, I'm not taking it as a gimme, absolutely not. I wouldn't disrespect Haiti that way. However, if there was one game that you maybe could have handpicked to get you off to a good start and give you a right good opportunity of getting through, because keep in mind 3 points, maybe even -1 would get you through to the next stage. We've got a real proper opportunity to go and do something, Charlie, in the summer and get, for the first time ever, get beyond the knockouts, get beyond the group stages.
I would love to see us just go, like, I remember being at a Switzerland game in Germany, and the first half we stood off Switzerland, and it was like we'd been beat, was it 5 for Germany, then we played Switzerland, and we were 1-0 down at half time, and it was almost to say, what we doing? You seen McTominay dragging the lads. We went and pressed the life out of Switzerland. The whole, it was, what an atmosphere it was, Tartan Army in that stadium.
Brilliant.
And the lift and the performance was unbelievable. You leave that game going, that was it. Let's see that. And again, like you mentioned, the Hungary game there, then we don't do it again. It's like, we're, as a culture, it feels like we're a team that get after people and press and make it difficult. Imagine John McGinn, McTominay with the legs and the energy we've got here. Teams that are playing, players that are playing in high intensity pressing games. I want to see that. But see, Haiti, I had a wee look at the squad the other day. They've got a Wolves lad that's worth 16 million quid, and they've got a striker that plays with Sunderland worth 18 million quid. Straight away, you look at them and you go, they're not going to be mugs. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be an easy game, but I would love to see us pressing high and having a proper go and getting after teams.
I mean, you look at our midfield, our engine room, where most pros will tell you, Paul, games are won and lost. We've got 4 of our players ripping it up in Serie A. Lewis Ferguson, Billy Gilmore, Lennon Miller, Scott McTominay, other guy in there, the captain of Aston Villa, top 4, pushing for a European final, and John McGinn, Ryan Christie, Champions League player with Celtic, very consistent for Bournemouth,
scored again
over
last
4
week.
or 5 years, at the highest level. Kerry McLean, brilliant goal away to Norway to get his a great result a couple of years ago. Captain of Norwich, top end of the champion, etc., etc. So you look at that, we've got so much going for us, and just a lot of the group have got the third tournament, and they're going there with 2 tournaments under their belt. So you look at that, we've got the captain, vice captain of Liverpool, right back. You've got Kieran Tierney, an incredible professional. So you look at that. The worry is the goalkeeping position. And I think we've got good number 9s, but I don't think we've got an outstanding number 9. So that's your concerns. But at the back and in the midfield, I've no concern. I just wish, and it's nothing against any of the lads, but if we'd had an upgrade in the goalkeeping and an upgrade in the number 9 position, I think we could go there with real confidence, but actually really make the mark in the tournament.
Do you think there could be an argument then, because of the quality of the midfield, could you put McTominay up one and he became the striker? I mean, you see him with that overhead kick for inside the box, and bring a midfielder into that midfield area, and then all of a sudden you look at the team and you go, we've got that Serie A, and I know maybe people would argue he's better coming deep and maybe know that pressure of being the number 9, but do you think he could do it? Or, I mean,
and he's so confident now, isn't he?
He's a presence as well.
Yeah.
6'4", he's a real...
He started as a striker, didn't he?
Yeah, because when you're sitting saying that, Mark, it makes so much sense, and then it made me think, and I'm sitting here thinking, going, well, the game is won and lost in both boxes, so we're brilliant right in the middle, but
not so much up
both
front.
both boxes is where is where you're judged, and I hope that's something that doesn't catch up with us. And McTominay pushing up one could maybe potentially might be an option in the game where you can go right, stick him up there. Who knows?
Great chat. I take it it's just about a sellout Saturday night, Mark, I would imagine.
The
Japan
will
game,
be,
I would think so,
yeah. I was with a young Scotland fan this afternoon, young Harry Dougal, member of the Tartan Army, Paul, 13, 14 years old, going to World Cup, met John McGinn and James McFadden the day, and they're buzzing, buzzing to be involved with as young Scotland supporters. And you think, kids coming through now, seeing your country qualify, it just made me feel old, Paul, when I heard the clip there and Charlie saying Tommy called me 28 years since we've been at a World Cup.
I know.
When you think about it,
it's crazy.
Absolutely incredible. 28 years. So let's go.
Since
Whether
we left St.
you're a
Etienne
player,
that night, remember after the game?
You're a player, you're part of the media, you're a supporter, whatever, make the most of it. Really, really enjoy this tournament, and let's hope we can do something special.
Do you think? I wonder if Steve Clark will be potentially leaving after the tournament.
Even more, there's every chance.
So even more reason to just to go for it. I think he's done a great job.
Off, isn't it?
Handbrake off. Let's go for it. And I think we absolutely nothing to lose, because we've not been there for that long. Let's go and have a go. And
it's the last time this whole band of brothers, whatever it is, will be together. I mean, obviously, there's never the same squad 4 years later, even 2 years later, and some of them. Probably this will be their last major tournament. So what a chance it is. So have you checked? I mean, we don't want to get carried away. Where is the final? Is it going to be?
No, got a clue.
New York City.
New York.
Is that what it is?
I knew that. I was just checking.
July, is it July 19th?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Just in case.
0808 1717 700. Great chat tonight. Charlie Mulgrew and Mark Guidi. We're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Don't forget though, in the Championship, what a finale with just a number of games to go, because big win for Partick Thistle the other night, a 2-0 win against Wraith Rovers, and that's not easy to go. I know the Rovers are struggling, Charlie, but that was a big win, a bit of pressure. They knew they had to win.
Yep, good result for them. Dougie Emery's sides are never easy to play against. He's always got them set up and organised well. So great result. Mark Wilson has done a great job with Alex Ray beside him. They are really pushing St Johnstone all the way, but I can't see them overtaking St Johnstone, to be honest with you. I think St Johnstone will be strong enough to hold on to that. But it's been a great season overall, and Thistle could sneak in via the playoffs.
Yeah, Thistle on tomorrow night against Ross County, and Wraith Rovers playing Ayr United. So Mark, the Jags again, it's kind of relentless, isn't it? Big game, huge crowd tomorrow night, I would imagine.
Yeah, what a lift they've got. They'll be buzzing. It's only 3 days between the games, but you say a home game tomorrow night at Firhill. Big crowd, 5 points. I agree with Chav. I think it's unlikely St Johnstone will throw it away, but any slip-ups Partick Thistle will be ready to take advantage. But I'm gearing towards Thistle Dunfermline against Aberdeen, and I know it's Charlie's old club, but I really think Aberdeen are going to struggle, Paul.
Charlie? It's not looking great for Aberdeen at all. It's we talk about momentum and feel about a club. It just feels like they can't get a mark. You said that a few weeks ago on here, and since then they've obviously got a new manager, and Steve Robinson's stepping in and seeing what's behind the scenes. But it's up to him as a manager and to get them going. I mean, he should be. He hopefully can get a wee reaction at them somehow, because he's got a tough job. But it's not a case of complaining about what he's got. He needs to get the best out of that team and get them over the line. And the least thing it has to do is keep them up, keep them comfortable, and then he gets next year. He sort it out. The last thing he wants to do is start turning against the players that are there, because that's the players that are going to keep him in the league. He'll get his chance in the summer to do what he needs to do. But with the budget they've got, Paul spoke about it all night. I mean, without knowing the ins and outs of the figures, but the figures that have been mentioned and the players that what the players are getting, some of them.
What kind of money would they be on up there?
Well,
£5,000 a week.
I heard there's players that are around about 10 grand a week.
$500,000 a year.
That's what I've heard.
Wow.
Now, that's just what I'm hearing from sources, and I'm thinking you've got to be in amongst the top 6 with that. So if that's the money they're spending, they need to be high on that.
Charlie, Barry, it's a different Barry, not Barry Ferguson, on say, what's that top you're wearing? He's obviously watching on YouTube.
Just been golf.
You've been golfing. Where were you today?
I've just been golfing. I was at Carnoustie today. Turned up at Carnoustie though. Any golfer out there will understand this. Buzzing for a game of golf. Can't wait. So excited. They turned round and they said it's officially opening tomorrow. The course, no mats and no winter greens. And because there was a wee bit of frost this morning, which it would have been on with mats, they made the winter greens. Listen, in terms of winter greens, as far as winter greens going, they're up there with the best. They were putting some of the local courses. Some of them were better than actual greens at local courses. So it was a good day all round. Bit of fresh air, nice walk in few hits. I'm trying to take a different outlook in golf. I'm trying to be a bit more on your channel. Try to be a bit more zen and try to be a bit more in the moment and enjoying the day.
And looking around you and seeing.
Looking around me and taking the moment. It's really hard when you've got a mind like mine. It's everywhere.
It's true. You should remember your level and stick to Knightswood.
Need a new groundskeeper up at Carnoustie after I've chopped it up.
Carnoustie. That's where Paul Laurie won it, isn't it?
So I'm playing with him next.
You're kidding.
I've got him on. I'll give it away.
All right.
Pitch to par on next Thursday. Me and him back 9 at Carnoustie. What format do you think I should do? Do you think I should go? Do you think I should play against them?
Oh yeah. But I would love that.
Play
great
against
to
them.
watch him.
You can go. Was it Van de Ven? Who was the French?
Yeah, it was absolutely.
Van der Velde.
Boom.
Aye,
Well,
go get in. Get the socks off.
Well, here's one for you.
In the bun.
Well, here's one for you. I've already done that, right? I was up at the Dunhill Links and I jumped in that bit and tried to have a shot at it, right? He never actually had a shot at it, but we went in to get his ball anyway. His son messages me on Instagram. You couldn't write this, saying, "My dad would like to speak to you." So it sent his email. So I imagine I could get Van der Velde and Laurie going down the 9th hole. But I told somebody this today, and they said a caddie at Carnoustie had said that Laurie doesn't enjoy talking about that day.
Does he not?
No, because I think that probably feels a wee bit bad about the fact that the guys gave up the lead, and plus it takes away from his achievement a wee bit.
What about the 4 days that he did?
Exactly,
to be
4
in
great days
position?
ago.
Correct,
so I'm going to talk to him about.
But if you emailed, did you email Van der Velde?
No.
Why not?
I don't know how to send an email. You send it for me.
Yep.
I'll do it my best French. my best bonjour. You've got to get that.
No,
one.
that would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I know.
Oh,
Big
brilliant.
class.
Get that.
I know. I'll send him a wee email, see if he gets back to me.
And, and if you get him, ask him how you think Scotland's going to go against Japan Saturday night. Get some audio for us.
And on the programme the other night, Mark, so we're talking about Sir Chris Hoy. It was his 50th birthday. And then the next day, he was there to launch the Scottish Prostate Cancer Initiative launched by Chris Hoy, Sir Tom Hunter, and some others. Sir Christopher Evans was there, Kenny Logan. It was amazing. And it's to help men over 40 to get checked. A special test that's been developed. So 25,000 men in Scotland are going to be tested for it. So, but we were talking that day about Chris Hoy, and I was lucky enough to meet him at the Kilt Walk last September in Edinburgh. So he's brilliant. So
do you know, Paul? You mentioned him.
He jumps in. He jumps in. It goes to me. So we're talking about. He goes, Does he play golf? He's trying to get him in the golf channel. So I'm going to tell Chris that when I see him soon.
I've messaged him on Instagram.
Have you?
I'd love to get him on. What an inspiring story that is.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And a great sense of humour as well. So it was shameless. So we were saying great things. 50 years old. What a man. Sorry, Mark. And then
no, I
he
was just
jumps
going to
in.
say, my mate phoned me the other day, and when it was something about that connect, he says, make sure you go and get yourself tested,
Yes.
go and get your blood test, make sure, just to check your prostate's okay.
Yep.
And he said he said he's phoning round all of us.
Brilliant.
Because of the message from Sir Chris Hoy raising awareness under the most horrible of circumstances. Sure. We get that, but just to let him know if he is making a difference because people are talking about it and people are going to get checked because of him.
I'm going to get checked at runs. There's a couple of situations in my family as well that's happened. So,
and you have just turned 40, and that's it. If you're 40 or over, then and there's going to be more coming up on this. It's 25,000 at the moment, but I can tell you there will be more, and we'll tell you more about it on this programme. And I know some friends of mine who've signed up to get this as well. So you'll see it online. Early detection saves lives, and is amazing.
Hero of a man.
Oh, he is. Honestly, he's so inspirational.
Yeah.
And his wife, Lady Sarah, as well. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Chris Hoy and Tom Hunter involved in supporting that, backing it as well. I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? Absolutely. What people do here in Scotland, because you hear the bad stories, but you see the positives as well. And he sees a positive in every single day. So, where will we go after that? We're talking Scotland Day. We're talking about, actually, there's an Aberdeen fan on just now saying he's worried that they're going to be the Tottenham of Scotland. In that, big money club, great backing, but where is the money being spent? And the worry is that Tottenham will go down. He's not so worried about that. It's Jack is on, but he thinks the Dons might go down.
Well, there's a lesson in it anywhere, Paul. It doesn't matter what you're spending in terms of in your squad and money-wise. If you're not taking care of things behind the scenes and doing things properly and appointing the right people in charge in different areas. When I seen Fanesteal in the dugout, I'm not interested if they do it abroad. I don't like it. I don't understand it.
Who's the boss?
Exactly, Paul. You're standing there as a manager. Having been a successful manager myself, I know what it takes.
Charlie's doing stand-up now.
That was a great draw. A couple of great draws. That's good. I mean, you could do stand-up.
So, having obviously been a player and starting that area is for a manager to run the full place. Yeah. That is a manager.
That's your domain.
That's it. Yeah. So, Fanesteal been on there, and it's just never gave Peter Leaving a good go at it. So it just shows you, no matter who you are and what club you are, you're no away for the relegation unless you put in the performances and you get things right behind the scenes. And Aberdeen clearly haven't done that.
They haven't. Back to Scotland just now. Mark is on, who is a Scotland fan. He's asking about what do you think is going to happen with Stevie Clark after the World Cup. Let's hear. Stevie Naismith spoke about the manager.
He's really good. I've been fortunate when I was first a coach, I get to learn from him in this environment, which was brilliant. And I think personality wise there's similarities with me, so I've picked up a lot from him. I've also picked up a lot from Al Irvin, who again I've worked with a lot as a player. With all these guys, seeing behind the curtain and being involved in that is the biggest learning you can get. I think that just being around people that are really good at their job is probably the best way I learn. Yeah, this environment gives me that, so it has been really good, but there's loads of, and I say we've touched on the manager and the coaches, but every aspect of a football club now is massively important, so getting to see that's invaluable for me.
Charlie, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I've heard during my pro licence, when I was on it, Alan Irvin done a talk, and the amount of work that he does behind the scenes working with Davy Moyes is unbelievable, Paul. You wouldn't believe the detail that goes into a game plan, building up to a match. It's unbelievable. And sometimes within 5 minutes in a game, you can be 1-0 down and everything kind of
out the window
changes. But then there's times they showed us examples where it works and one thing you've worked on comes to fruition, or one bit of defending that you've worked on. If a team want to get in the one side of the pitch and you block that side off and it stops a goal, it's so valuable. So, no, Alan Irvin, I've seen the work he puts in. Obviously, Steve Clark is done a magnificent job. He puts these people in place in order to do their job, delegates really well. Stevie Naismith's in there, being the buffer between the players and the coaching staff. So, it's clearly working, and it's brilliant management from Steve Clark to do that.
Mark, I don't know. It's 50-50, he said last week, as you know. You get the sense that, look, you never know what happens after the World Cup, but you would think he may well go on, because it sounds as though he's got another campaign in him as a club manager.
Yeah, I think, for the sake of the squad and the nation, you either get Steve Clark to sign that, if you want him to sign and he wants to stay, agree something in the next month or so, or as we're about to take off, it's a real good, feel good story, Paul, or they're just, the SFA and Steve are very, very open and honest, full clarity. There will be no talks until after the World Cup. So what you don't want is going to the World Cup without his future settled one way or another, and every day he's getting asked about it, and the players are coming, do you know what? Sure. We want to focus in Haiti, or we want to focus in Morocco, or we need a point against Brazil, and you're going to get all that. So either get it sorted or kill it off and make it clear talks are suspended to after the World Cup, and then we'll all see where we stand and take it from there. So as I say, I feel for the SFA and for Steve. It's a really kind of difficult scenario, but the most important thing is we're there. But how they manage, how the SFA manage Steve's position if he doesn't sign before the World Cup is very, very important, and they need to get the messaging right on that if he's not signed up before we go to America.
Yeah, it feels to me that both parties are keeping their options open. Yeah. That's what it feels like to me. And now, that's fine, but be clear on that. Like Mark said, just be clear so everybody knows, and then we're fine. Because by Stevie Naismith chatting there in an interview he done the other day as well, it was almost like nothing's been said yet. And if something can get said and everybody knows where they stand, then fine. I mean, I think Steve Clark will focus on the job regardless, the job ahead regardless.
His pride.
But just be clear. That's all people want to know. Honesty and clarity.
Your last international of your 44 was in 2019.
Have you just Googled it there?
Because I was just checking.
Russia.
So it was Stevie in at that point? It was
yes,
made,
he was. So I was desperate for 50 caps, Paul. Absolutely desperate for 50. I was doing trips to Peru and Mexico when
that's right.
Everybody was pulling out, and it was like young lads that were coming in the squad, players that are probably in the squad now, like Jack Henry and that, were nowhere near at the time. We're getting called up, and I was desperate for the 50, and I had a couple of bad camps under Steve Clark. In the final one, I'm sure it was Russia, against a big, huge striker. I can't remember his name, and I had a nightmare. And then he played well against Belgium the game before, or the camp before, and I was never seen again. That was it. I never officially retired.
Did you?
I've still not retired.
Right.
Nah, listen, Steve Clark he moved on. That's how football works. But I never retired, because I always hoped that I could potentially get there. But that's me officially retired tonight on Go Radio.
You heard it first here on the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King on the show. Quick break and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Sure is. This time tomorrow night, Stephen McGinn will be with us, the assistant manager, one of the assistant coaches, of course.
First team coach.
Thank you, Mark. Keeping me right the last few minutes, more than you'll ever know.
Does he get a chance for some Monday? You should ask him.
Well, possibly. We will tomorrow night. Yep.
Yeah,
so he'll be here.
Get the heat on him.
Along with Barry Ferguson. So it'll be interesting to see what those two are saying. He'll be saying, Barry, a bit of chat.
Sure it'll be better than what we've said tonight.
I've actually enjoyed you two tonight.
I'm glad somebody has.
Exactly.
We've enjoyed you, mate.
Oh no, don't. We wouldn't push it not that far, but thank you, Charlie. So tomorrow night, Barry Ferguson and Stephen McGinn. So looking forward to that. We talked about the games in the Championship at the weekend. I wanted to say on Saturday, Morton against Arbroath and St Johnstone, the league leaders, against Queen's Park. On Air United who play tomorrow night against Wraith Rovers, as well as the Jags against Ross County. I see your old teammate Scott Brown in the papers today, and he's just been asked about things. Things are going tough at the moment, but he was praising the players, but saying, look, it's down to me. I see praising the players. There've been so many injuries, but he's not blaming anybody else.
Yeah, and that's fair play. I mean, take responsibility. He done it as a captain. He's the type of guy he is, and he'll keep fighting there, Paul. I believe he's the man for that job, and can turn it well. Given can turn it round, turn the season round. he just takes a one result in that league and you can fire up it. I think Scott Brown, but it's like football, isn't it? You just a couple of results and people start to look and question and he's in a tough position at the moment, but one result can turn it and he can start monitoring forward.
Celtic have been fined £13,000 by UEFA following last month's Europa League clash with Stuttgart at Celtic Park after some fans threw the tennis balls on the pitch, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous and pointless. Your players have just warmed up for a game and then they throw tennis balls on. That doesn't help anyone. And then people say, come to Glasgow, go to Celtic Park. It's one of the best experiences in European football. And I know they say absolutely the same under the lights at Rangers, but Mark, senseless, pointless, and now costing him another 13 grand.
Yeah, it's another fine for Celtic. I think it was needless, Paul. You know, some of the things I agree with in terms of some of the concerns that the supporters have about the club moving forward and modernising it and a bit of change and refresh. I get all that, and I'm on side with a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it. I certainly wasn't in favour of the tennis ball thing. It's just silly. You only had to look at as the cameras panned in the dugout and Martin O'Neill's face with Sean Malone. You're thinking, what are we doing? What's going on? You've got your problems, your concerns about the hierarchy. Fair enough, but why? For the life of me, Paul, I can't understand why you would allow something like that to affect what happens in the pitch for 90 minutes. Because the last time, you talk about learning, the last time they did it, Dens Park, Celtic lost the game through to. So why are you doing that? Make your concerns known. Do it in a respectful way. But the kind of tennis ball thing, no for me.
Charlie, everyone, you can see it as a player. It must be because you've just warmed up.
Yeah, it killed the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The whole thing just died after it. So no ideal as a player. Too much time wasted standing about. Obviously clearing the tennis balls up. So no ideal, Paul.
Guys, where do you stand on? Billy's been on saying, see, Rangers are prepared to spend more money on VAR technology if it means a driving up of the standards of the refereeing in Scotland. Obviously, the clubs pay for it. Charlie, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. They're going to try and get the clubs together. Will they come together around the table?
Yeah, well, we need more cameras for a start at games to get it to the standard of the English Premiership. And then a few things need clear. This season's been blatant. Like handballs have been a mad one for me this year. I mean, the amount of times I've typed in handball rule into ChatGPT to try and get some sort of clarity on the rules. And again, it's the consistency. All we ask for is consistency. If they turn around and says every time the ball strikes your hand in the box, it's a penalty, at least we could then be clear and be consistent with it. It needs to be some sort of clarity, Paul.
Paul, I get it. I'm in favour of it. More cameras, better lines, particularly offside. Sometimes you see some of the lines, you think, okay. However, cameras, technology do not make the decisions. No. It's still down to a human being. And the decisions, even with the benefit of VAR, have they been good enough? How many apologies has Willie Collum had to make this season when he did his VAR review show? Yeah. So, you can have all the technology in the world, but there needs to be better decision making with the benefit of the technology. And when you see some of the decisions that our officials on VAR still come up with, and then when they refer it to the on-field referee, and they still stand by it, even though we can all see, never in 100 years is that this, that, or the next thing. So yes, give them all the help they can, but the actual humans that are working them, as in our referees, need to be so much better. They need to improve. This season on the whole, as a campaign, has been totally unacceptable far too often.
I sat in a meeting at the start of this year and Willie Collum was explaining the rules at Hampden. And he said that, I don't know if you remember the handball between, it was Dundee and Ross County last year, up at Dundee. It was a decider. It gave a penalty away. Yeah. The header was going away from goal. The player had his back turned, but he was trying to jump, so his hands were in the air. Got a penalty given against him. The Dundee player, I'm sure it was
Tony Dockett was apoplectic about the decision.
Yes, that was the exact decision that was shown. So Willie Collum's words were, this year, this won't be given as a penalty. This similar incident will not be given. But if you're in Europe, European UEFA have told us this will be a penalty in Europe, but we've overruled it in Scotland, but it won't be given in Scotland, which I thought was mad, because I'm thinking what if our players go to Europe and play in Europe? Surely the rules have got to be exactly the same. And that, for me, was the start of the season, seeing the referee. A lot of the meeting was fine. That bit stood out for me, and I thought, well, where's the consistency across Europe? Never mind just in Scotland. And there's been instances this year where balls have hit hands. Simon Murray, exact same position near enough. A couple of weeks ago in the Dundee derby, for Dundee, he puts his hands out to make the run to go that side. The ball hits his hand, penalty.
That's right.
I don't understand.
I remember. A few other of the stories tonight, they're saying that Tony Docherty was going to be offered the St Mirren assistant job to help Craig McLeish and Jamie Langfield to the end of the season, but in the Sun I'm reading he's not going to come. But Craig McLeish is going to stay in charge probably now till the summer. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, well, he got a good result in the last game, narrow defeat to Rangers. So he's done a decent enough job for just stepping in. You would never have thought that he would have been somebody that would have been considered. I think Tony Dock would have been a good option to step in there, but he's not going to go in and be assistant, I wouldn't have thought. Sure. So, yeah.
He has been elsewhere this season. Yeah,
he has been.
Do you know, Aberdeen just most recently. Mark, any view on your old club? What do you think? Craig McLeish, you happy if Craig is in charge?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, St Mirren see something in him. Keith Lasley and the executive team will be doing their due diligence behind the scenes. Obviously got a really good result at Falkirk last week. I think, okay, St Mirren v Aberdeen. I think, okay, let's just go with it. The players are buying into what Craig McLeish and the staff are telling them, so let's go with it. It's a hell of a game. St Mirren v Aberdeen coming up. Then, of course, I've got the Scottish Cup semi-final against Celtic. So they're probably saying, yeah, why change it when we'll win? Now, they could lose to Aberdeen and they think, well, wait a minute, who knows? But at the moment, good luck to Craig McLeish. And you know what's nice as well about it, Paul? It's good to see a young Scottish coach being given an opportunity.
Absolutely. Just 2 games away. I know that potentially Celtic's the first one, Mark, but what a season it would be for the club, St Mirren, fighting for their lives in the Premiership, but they've won the League Cup and they could win the Scottish Cup. Gattuso has been mentioned by a former player, former colleague, the Italian head coach Marco Materazzi, says he's a future Rangers manager. So Gattuso, he loved life here, didn't he? He was here as a youngster, 17-year-old, and married a Glasgow
random,
girl.
Innit? Materazzi must have been asked about that, but it shows that he's mentioned Rangers to him and obviously does have a love for the club. Gattuso's I think any club would like to see a Reno Gattuso on the touchline manage them, wouldn't they? That passion and the passion he shows. Dyson Maida Singh can't wait to come up against some of his Celtic teammates this weekend. So we went over the Japan team earlier on. Well, we mentioned Maeda. Charlie, what do you think? We've only got 60 seconds left. What do you reckon Saturday? I know we're calling it a warm-up game rather than a friendly. Yeah, it's a friendly and a chance to go out there and players to show that they should be in the squad, Paul. So Japan again won't be an easy game, be a difficult game, a completely different game to one we've played in recent years. A lot of fit players. Maeda probably sums that up, the way they run about and the way they harry and press. So an interesting game, and it'll be really interesting to see who gets a start. It gives an indication of who Steve Clark wants to have a look at. It's the untried players you want to see, Mark, isn't it, to see what they can do?
Well, you hope that Steve Clark will have a few questions that he'll want answers to. You hope he gets the answers between Saturday and Tuesday night. And when you said that wee phrase, Paul, a World Cup warm-up match. It's been 28 years since we've had a World Cup warm-up match. Let's enjoy Saturday night and hope we get a good result and some good performances.
And finally, in the last 10 seconds, we're on the march with Ali's Army. Are we getting a song? Oh, we've just run out of time. Oh, can we? No, we can't. Thanks so much, Charlie and Mark.
Cheers.
Tomorrow night, Barry will be here along with Barry Ferguson, Stephen McGinn. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow night at 5.